All right, now, if you'll notice, this, even though it's an older machine, has this really nice printed template, and it shows you an outline of where everything goes. This is exceptionally good because it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 configuration to show you how these things are going to go in and all get locked down at the same time. Now I'm going to tip this up and try to show you that we've put the rails in.
He's referring to the laced rails.
Yeah, the extension rails for the lace carriage. Now what was easy is there's a little picture right here, if the camera can see it, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But what it didn't tell you is the rails have to slide in behind this piece right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to slide them in from this direction, and then watch. They fall down into their relaxed position so that everything else will go in. Now, the handles on these machines come off by loosening and tightening a thumb screw. I'm going to go ahead and take this one off the lace carriage.
Unlike some more modern models, they do not fold out of the way.
They
They screw into that position. That's their only working position. And then for storage, you remove them.
Right. You can see this is a loose collar and a threaded boss. And I will show you by bringing over to the camera. The little accessory box is separate on this machine. But if you'll notice, it's got the picture here of the 2 handles. They go right in the accessory box. And we're going to pack everything in. Here's our 1 weight, picture of a weight. This is our carriage lock. There's a picture right there.
My guess is that there are supposed to be 2.
2, yeah.
And a replacement modern one will be just fine.
Yeah, it'll be white, but it'll still fit in that spot. This is where your wax went for your thread. And we'll go and fill the rest of these pictures in as we go along. All right, now we're going to remove the sinker plate. This is standard on almost all of the brothers that we've worked with. And we're going to put the sinker plate over in the lid, and in just a moment we'll go back and lock it in like it's supposed to be. Put your thumb screws down tight. This is also was in the...
I can't see you.
Okay.
Here you go.
This was also in the little carriage box, and it's the load lock for this carriage. So we loosen this thumb screw just enough that when we move the carriage over, this will slide underneath it.
A little more.
There you go. And you notice there's a dimple just like the sinker plate has.
Once so it makes a positive position.
Right. Once we've tightened this down, now the carriage can't go, but we still have to take the handle.
Right. It won't travel like that because it won't fit in the case.
Right. Now, the beauty of these designs is that I'm not talking not about this. The beauty of the design of the machine is such that everything else goes on this end of the lid and the carriage is by itself.
When you move your hand down there, we have no idea.
Okay. On the other end of the machine, everything in the lid's going to be down here so that it leaves room for the carriage to be here so it makes one consolidated form. Now, we'll get the camera to lean over and see that this row counter is in an unusual spot, but it needs to flip up to let everything go together. It was down because we were using the row counter, and now we're going to take the row counter off, and we're going to put it in.
That's just a spring-loaded sort of thing. You have to press down and push back. Right.
The mounts on the machine go into the round part of the boss, and you can hear it
just like
lock into place. All right, if you watch the use video on this, you'll see this is the lever, goes on the far end of the bed to operate the needle positioning. You see it's got its little spot. Here's the other handle in its spot. And there's a picture right here of showing me that the row counter goes in that way. Next, we're going to disassemble the bug head. All right, now this would be the tension mast in operation. My left hand is the knitting carriage holding the yarn, so we've released the yarn. And I want you to see how it is threaded. It goes through the tension mast. It goes through this little guide right here. It goes through the tension setting dial on the back.
Between two discs that press together.
Right. You actually, let me see if
I did it on another film.
Yeah, you have it on another film. But see, this is for the user of this machine. It's new to her. So we want her to be able to go the opposite direction. Now I'm going through the yarn guide.
Now the yarn's free.
Now the yarn guide folds down. Here's the part. I'm going to go ahead and pull the mast out so she can set the camera down. And if you can see what I'm doing, watch. This folds up flat. Then the tension springs fold up, also flat.
This is the tricky thing because it looks like it's not going to work. And it only does work one way. And I'm always terrified that I'm doing it wrong until it pops into place.
And I will tell you that start it back in the opposite direction. Untangle your wires. Start the wires. See how it brings the mast with it? The actual head here comes with it.
So you're talking about when we go to set up
again. Right, when you go to set up again, push from underneath, hold the rod itself, and you'll see the whole mechanism comes up. This will stop. This carries on to its working position. But for now, we've got it folded up.
And it has to fold up in order to fit into the case.
That's right. That's the next thing we're going to do is load it up. All right, if you'll notice, our tension mast is number 2. And it's, let's see, how am I supposed to put it in there? But if you'll look, there's a place right there that the rod will fit underneath. All right, I said rod, but the rod hook is right here. This is for the edge.
It's really this flat casing bit.
The casing edge. And if you'll notice, it'll go under and there's a stop right here where my finger is. So it's a simple movement, in, down, and then the rod hooks right underneath there.
The tab's showing on our side.
Right. Now, and if the camera can follow me down, here's where the 2 springs and the rod go under another catch that you have to flex it slightly to get under. But now we're all perfectly secure.
Now it's neat and tidy, so you won't get a damaged antenna in transit.
Right. All right, now, again, we're going to look at our picture and see which way, okay, turning around.
This is the sinker plate for newbies.
There's the lobe of the sinker plate, and right there where the 4 is, that's it. Here's the button for the sinker plate, but here's the giveaway. Here's the cutout for the yarn, and it's facing the back of the machine.
It's drawn pretty well. It's fairly obvious. Sometimes you have to wiggle them a little. The fit is tight.
You do have to wiggle them together to get them positioned. Now, there's a spot right here where there's a bend over. Make sure this guy stays lined up. And tra-la, now we're locked into place.
See, the silver's gone under the green lip.
Right. We're going to do the same thing again with our lace carriage. Notice the opening is facing this way. And here's the boss for the handle. And the picture is perfectly representative. Again, if you'll notice, the cutout straddles a little flat spot right there. In it goes. It actually helps hold your tension mast into place. And again, this wire loop is going to go underneath an edge that is right there in the casing. So see, you have to flex it in, and there we are. And if you'll notice, I'm going to pick the casing up, and everybody stays where they're supposed to be. Okay, we've removed the clamps from the bed, and here's our utility box where we put our handles in, the ratcheting handle and the row counter, and now this is where the clamps also nest in. Now, I will tell you that on most of these Brother machines, you have to almost close the clamp to get them into the spot that they're to be stored. A lot of times it's on the back of the bed. There'll be a compartment here.
But this model doesn't
on newer
have
Brothers.
that, yeah.
But this one has its own little neat box. We've got a couple of little weaving tools that we're going to find a spot for in here quite easily. Now this is the coup de...
We can't see it. Bring it over.
The coup de grace. Now a lot of times you'll buy one of these and it says comes complete. they mean there's a bed and a carriage. But look at this tool pouch.
This one came complete.
We originally came with it. There's your latch tool, transfer tools, some extra needles, and look at these nice metal needle selectors. This is really complete. And of course it goes right in here, and the lid goes on our little storage compartment. All right, I want to talk about one of the differences. If you'll notice in the end of this machine, there's a little ridge right here. Now, on the newer Brother machines, that would be the lip of the lid. This one has this nice protective end, and when we get it on there, you'll see that this ridge actually sits on the end of the bed, and this protects it. But here we go. We've got to get this lip underneath the gate pegs. That's why I was telling you earlier to leave the machine slightly off the table. But that lip goes under the gate pegs. And we move over the implements on the other end. Let's see how well we did. Yes. Then the next thing is latch. And I will turn this around for you in just 1 second. I'll get over there. All right, let me turn it around and we will show you the nice seam edge here, the latches that are there. And look at what this person did. If this line is lined up, and this line is lined up, you've got your case on right.
That was kind of clever.
Yeah, now let's caution the people, because the first thing you'd like to do is grab it by the handle and carry it. That's not a very good idea on any machine unless it's just to pick it up to get your arm underneath it.
Yeah, at this age, that plastic's rather brittle, and it breaks often, and of course, you'll drop the machine if it lets go.
Right, and of course, this piece of metal right here it isn't continuous inside of the case edge. It just has two sides that come together, and you don't know how weak that piece of metal is. I will tell you, when I'm transporting a machine, even if I'm putting it in the truck or the car to take to a show, I take an old ice bag and I wrap it around the handle, and then I take a piece of duct tape and I go around the plastic, holding the handle in and holding the case together with that duct tape. It's easy. It doesn't hurt the machine because there's plastic under it, but that makes it a lot easier to resist the temptation to grab that handle and lift it up.